legislation, the Liberia Vision 2030.
The AI serves as a roadmap to help elevate Liberia from the current challenges and guide it toward becoming the global leader. The plan builds on the lessons learned and accomplishment of previous initiatives, including the poverty reduction strategy, the agenda for transformation, the Pro-4 agenda for prosperity and development. It presents innovative solutions that prioritize inclusiveness, sustainability, justice, governance, and equality. Our nation is rich in resources, yet we continue to face significant challenges such as high unemployment, low literacy rate, widespread poverty, poor infrastructure, and structural inequality. These issues obscure instability and even our growth. We must dare to deliberate action to address these challenges.
Today we are here to resume the second session of the 55th Legislature, and I wish to present to you a summary report of the first session, including the current state of the Senate governance and financial management practices. Legislation statistics summary from January to December 2024. Total legislation passed 27, ratifications 18, amendments 3, enactments 6, nominees confirmed 996, legislations in committee rooms 40. As a result of these reports, I wish to inform all committees that the agenda for the first 3 months will focus on all bills in committee rooms. All committees are required to report on a weekly basis as of Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, on bills in committee rooms. Failure to submit on 2 occasions will result in the setting up of ad hoc committees or committee of the whole to expedite these processes. The Secretary of the Senate will officially communicate to all relevant committees by tomorrow, January 14, 2025. Below are some of the 40 bills that are needed to be prioritized. An act to amend Chapter 31 of the Executive Law of 1972 to establish the Liberian Tourism Authority. An act to amend Title 30 of the Public Authority Law, Liberia Code of Laws revised to establish the Liberia National Tourism Authority. An act to rectify the protocol to the African Chapter on Human and People's Rights on the establishment of an African Court on Human and People's Rights. An act to establish the Liberian Technical and Vocational Education and Training (TVET) Commission. An act to establish the Liberia Capital Police, LCP 2024. Zoning Law of Liberia 2024. Presidential Transitional Act of 2024, Decent Work Act, Ellen Johnson Service Ministerial Complex, the Ministry of Local Government, and Act to amend Chapter 4, Section 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4 of the Criminal Procedure Law on Statute of Limitations, the election laws, and the census report. In keeping with our oversight responsibilities, we would like to see a more aggressive approach from all committees on the tracking of budget programs and implementations in all sectors. We would like to have a quarterly performance report from all ministries and agencies through the committees for debate and actions. Also, the Ways, Means, and Finance Committee should show that the Ministry of Finance give a quarterly disbursement report to encourage timely payments to sectors for timely execution of projects and programs that are needed for the growth and development of our country and the well-being of our people. The Committee on Public Works is mandated to give the Senate a report in 1 week on the list of road projects in the budget, locations, costs, and timelines, including outstanding projects.
Well, to Spoon to get your information, to be part of our discussion, to know exactly what's happening in Liberia.
Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia.
To know what the updates are.
Spoon gonna tell you what is happening.
To engage with the policymakers. This is where we give you the news, the updates, the analysis, and also afford you the opportunity to have a say on those different issues. So I'd like to say welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are live across the Spoon Network, Spoon 107.5 FM, Fabric Radio, and a host of other radio stations across Liberia. I want to say thanks to all of our folks online for joining us tonight. We're live on Facebook, Spoon TV, Fabric TV, Super TV. We're live on all of those different handles. And on YouTube as well. Spoon Talk Live is our YouTube handle. I want to welcome all of you tonight. Thanks for joining us on another edition of the program, Spoon Talk. That's the late night show, the late night politics on Spoon. We're back on the radio. And yes, please share the program as you come on. We appreciate if you are to share the show in your different group chats. Let's have a great conversation. It's going to be an engaging show tonight with a whole lot happening across Liberia. Our sincere apologies that we couldn't bring you the show last evening. That was due to some issues beyond our control. The good thing is that we are here tonight, and we appreciate all of you who always make up time to be here with us on the late night show as we get to digest the issues here every night. Let me welcome the team gradually. I see Fambula is already here. And we're going to bring you the updates as well. Let me see if I can get this one down. Okay. All right. So let me bring Fambula on. Fambula, welcome, man. It's good to have you on tonight.
Thank you very much, Nelson. And it's always a pleasure to be here. Sometimes, even in our difficult schedule, we always make up time because this is about Liberia. We love our country, and we wish Liberia the best. So we are here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We wish our country the best. It's because we want the best for Liberia that all of us will gather here at about this time to talk Liberia, to discuss the issues. And we do this with our eye on the bigger picture, the interest, the national interest, the interest of our country. It's like everyone wants to see Liberia do better, but we all have different lenses that we're looking at things from, or that we're using to look at things. Some people think we should use the right angle to get there, while others think we should use the right angle. And yes, and that's where the disagreements, the different views will come in. But what matters most is the interest of our country. And we can disagree to agree always. And this is why we're here. We want to welcome all of our folks tonight. Let me recognize just a few of the folks joining us. And again, if you're joining the late night show tonight, please share the program. Go to your Facebook, go to your different social media handles, share the program tonight. Let's have a great conversation with a whole lot happening across the country. I see Sabatus M. Young Jr. joining us tonight. Thanks for coming on. Ruth Goba, my Ruth, we appreciate you a whole lot. Jatu Kennedy is here. Obadiah Smith joining us as well. I see so many of you. D. Emmanuel Luo is here as well. Thank you for joining the late night show tonight. I see Moses Momolu. I see Rufus Quina. Yes, Chief, thanks a lot. He did a very great promo for the show. We're gonna be doing some rebranding on the late night show. And as part of the process, I was so amazed when I saw the promo he did for the program, and that's something we're gonna work on. We're gonna work with, and we appreciate you as well for that, Rufus. Mr. Quina, thanks a lot. I see Natana K. Hill is here. Thanks for joining us. Op O'Neill Johnson, uh, Domowa, Domowa, Coley, Eric McGill, Himko Kazi, all of you joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Charles Delan is here. Charles, we look forward to having you join us one day. Maybe on Friday again, we're gonna open it up. We're gonna post the link in the comment section to get some of our ardent followers joining the show. Hopefully, we can have you join us, Charles. The late night show is a place where everyone has a voice, and we want to appreciate you for joining us. Again, please share the program. Just share it in the different group chats. Let's have a great conversation. Jenaka Noir. Yes, Emmanuel Keke. Whoosh. I love this name. Emmanuel Keke.
Listen, be careful how you pronouncing some of our people their name.
No, but Keh is Keke. Emmanuel
Okay.
Keke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great name. There's something so unique about the African names.
That name has a meaning, and our people, when somebody refer to you as Keke, they refer to you as father, or it has some respect.
Which dialect is that? Which
Our people in Lofa can use it. They can say Keke.
Wait.
The
I want to
Mende
understand.
people can also use
Sandy
it.
on. Let me bring Sandy. I want to understand something because I seen where Sandy confused me with her name. For some time, I was calling the man Jala, and he said, "No, my name is Jilawu."
Jalahu.
Jilawu.
Jalahu. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
No. The man don't say Jilawu. Jilawu.
Jirawu.
There's a way.
Jirawu.
And that's not how he pronounce it to his a PSR here. He get different ways than call it.
When the man in America, he got a serious will.
No, I don't speak Siri, man. I speak like raw English.
Okay, they get it. You get it American or the English way.
Oh
of
yeah.
pronouncing
How
that
the
name.
American get
When you
it?
go in Grange there, they
Jirawu.
get a Grange there way of pronouncing the name. When
Absolutely.
in the US, you get a way you will pronounce it there.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the people don't not like our own. The way you will do your Jilahu, you put everything together, make it just Jilahu. Somebody saying the reason I will get a hard time.
Mhm.
But I want to go back to that keke. How is that keke different from the keke that we can ride in?
Oh,
No, but this is serious. I thought it was a burner account, seriously. And then you
The man that Bassa name. The man say he's from Bassa. So let Keke explain why it mean.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds familiar with counties in Liberia. It sounds familiar with other people. The name has so many. Sometimes people get name, but it means different thing in different languages. Different dialects and things like that.
Famole. You familiar with the keke or not? Are you
Yes,
familiar
I
with
said
it?
the sound, how it sound. When our people say keke, like some people can call
When
my
you say
dad.
our
and
people,
say
who
keke.
people? When you say our people, who people?
I'm a traditional man. I'm from Grand Cape County. There's only one county you'll find a family. So I don't know where else you want to carry me.
No. But
We have a family. We have a family in Bon County.
Yeah, but he can still trace his route back to Cape Mount. If people can move over there and settle and born in there, it does not negate the fact that his people originally from Grand Cape County. They kind of
I understand the whole ownership of family, the familiarism and everything we will get there. But
But when I say keke, like many a times I've heard so many people call my dad keke dao. I mean they call him pa dao. It's almost like they gave you that title, that an
So is
elder,
it
an
is
elderly
keke
man.
like B-man? You want to say
Yeah,
B-man?
yeah, and then you
Our
just
keke.
adding some title to the person, they can
Oh,
just call the
okay.
person by their name like that.
Oh, so
So
for example, you say keke famole.
yeah, yeah.
Ah, so I can say
So,
keke jilau. It will
oh
be
yeah.
No, I'm not keke. I'm not keke. I am not keke.
Man, take it in good faith. At least they calling you
good.
different name.
But I mean
I don't know until
that's an
Emmanuel
amazing thing. So I'll call all our people keke in the comment section. I'll follow
Look,
keke Lin Lakpo, keke Emmanuel, keke
yeah.
Emmanuel keke. Emmanuel say keke is a bastard name,
yeah, so
but that's a
let
that
Emmanuel tell us what keke mean.
yeah. Because Emmanuel, you get a keke. You gotta tell us what the keke mean. How is that keke
The
different from
next
the
thing
keke?
you have heard so many people calling the president Keke Boaka. They call I mean
No,
No,
not in a good way. So that
no,
means
that
he go
no,
keke.
no,
slow,
no, no, no,
walk
no.
slow.
The title man are in a good way. You can call it in different way, but I know people can call you Keke Boaka.
Kabule, don't bring down the show.
Okay.
Keke
I don't
formula,
know.
we appreciate you
I
a
don't
lot.
know Keke to be any other thing condescending or being
Yeah,
mean or something. No, it
our,
means some title and respect added to a person name. That's it.
but something is happening. Formula, your own definition or interpretation of keke, you say it mean elder, right? Be person. But Sabatu telling us that keke means small ball. So
Oh, from where? Where Sabah?
but anyway, guys, we gotta move on. We want to
No,
say
nothing. Don't get it twisted. Some people, I mean, Keke got so many different meaning. The way it sound to you in your era, any way you want to call it, a business. But for me, I think Keke means error, and it has some title to you. That means small ball. Who can we call
okay.
like a small ball?
Okay. John Hines keke means father or grandfather. You
Thank
know.
you.
All right.
That's
Okay.
what I know.
Okay. But I want to welcome everyone tonight. It's a great way to kickstart the late night show. Thanks for joining us across the world. We're here tonight. It was a it was a tough one last evening. We didn't get the show coming, but it's good that we're here. But I want us to do our opening as we kickstart the show. Maybe you want to start a family, and we go around the table.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nelson. And hello to my Liberian people. Um, what a great day to be alive. And every day we come up here burning in our heart, in our belly, to express to the Liberian people that Liberia will rise, Liberia will succeed. There are so many great things that happen today around the country. Like finally today, the government of Liberia um, unveiled the arrest agenda and its inclusiveness for the entire for the next 5 years. Such an ambitious plan with a huge amount of money as a target, and we hope and pray that the government and the people of Liberia will rally around and see to it that uh, those money be used or be raised and used for its intended purpose. Some people will say, "Oh, that's a huge amount. We cannot get there." But for us who are positive, we know Liberia is a country. We can raise it if we believe in it. Mechanism can be put in place for us to raise that amount, and let us make sure that that revenue generating power, uh, we have to make sure that we have that sustained in Liberia for the next 5 years, so that we can able to meet our developmental agenda and goals, so the
Okay.
Liberian people can benefit and they can see that indeed their effort is not in vain. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, family. Sandy, let's hear you. Your
Well,
opinion.
Nelson, let me take this time here to say my condolences to the family of the late Senator Prince Johnson of Nima County and the people of Nima. The late senator arrived, his body arrived today in his home, I believe was today, in his home. In Liberia was yesterday, but here is still today. And he is set to be buried this weekend. The death of Prince Johnson shows a clear divided line in our country, where many people celebrated his death and many mourn his death. And we all know the reasons why, because of his historic involvement in the Liberian Civil War. But I want to use this platform tonight, hoping that I can unite some Liberians, that it is time that as a country we move forward. We have made several mistakes in the past as a people that led us to the destruction of our country, that led us to participations of several people across our country into the civil crisis. When we had the opportunity to bring all of those people to book, we rewarded them with political positions, including former President Helen Johnson Sirleaf, who, in my opinion, shouldn't have come across or near any political participation in our country. But it is really time that we move on as a people. If we really want to build Liberia, we cannot be divided. We cannot continue to be divided and expect to build our country. What happened in the past, happened in the past. All of us here suffer major loss during the civil crisis. I, for one, lost several family members, including brothers, parents, aunties, uncles, and that is the same story of many Liberians. So we should move on and let's focus on uniting our country and rebuilding Liberia for future generation. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot, Cindy. And it's very interesting that we can get at a point as a country where we can start to have the conversation around how we can move our country forward. Because yes, we always say we sit on the old mat to plot the new ones. Yes, and all of that. But at the end of the day, sometimes, the past is only important for learning some lessons. Gathering some pieces, learning some lessons, and if possible, setting a deterrent, taking some actions. But at the end of the day, no individual, no group, no country, whoever is supposed to live in the past. So it's very important that in spite of whatever, that we move on, and that's very important. But I want to say thanks a lot for that great opening, Sandy. I saw yesterday when I was doing the coverage on the senator's remover, I saw the legs of Senator Yaya Nimle of Grangeville County. He was there, and other lawmakers, some of the senators who have had some bitter exchanges with the fallen senator, they were all there. So yes, that speaks to how much of a progress we should make as a country. And yes, but I want to say thanks to everyone. Just a quick update, then we move to the conversations tonight. Most of you are aware that the NEC boss, Madam Director Brian Lassanan, the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, was suspended today. The president of the Republic of Liberia suspended her for an indefinite period for actions in violation with electoral laws. There has been an investigation into recent protests. Most of you saw the protest at the NEC headquarters. Some of the staffers holding placards. Some of them went as far as the Capitol building to call the attention of national leaders over some monies that they should have received following this entire process. And so, based on the tension that built up with respect to this whole protest at NEC, there was an investigation launched. And so, following the investigation, the president, following this, not just the investigation, but the concerns raised by aggrieved NEC workers regarding administrative decisions taken without proper consultations, the Liberian leader then decided to take the action. He suspended Madam Deviata Brown Lasana today for an indefinite period. And on the flip side, the government of Liberia launched the arrest agenda. Rudolph, welcome to the show. Like we saw with the CDC government,
Thank you, Chief.
when they had a PAPD, Pro Agenda for Prosperity and Development. The PAPD was launched during the Unity Party administration. And
The CDC administration, you mean?
sorry, during the CDC administration, about 6 years after, we're talking about another launch. This time, the National Development Agenda, the arrest agenda, is being launched. There are different sides to this particular thing, and we're gonna make some analysis around it. But this agenda is expected to, for the next 5 years, from 2025 to 2030, serve as a guide as to how the government of Liberia is going to drive a developmental agenda. What are the different areas, the different sectors that are going to be prioritized? What are the goals? It's meant to get the government setting her goals right, setting her priorities right, targeting some key areas that there will be some improvements within the next 5 years, setting that roadmap and all of that. So yes, the finance minister made that disclosure a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago. And yes, as he stated, today the agenda was launched in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. We're going to talk about that. Where do we find ourselves as a country? Is Liberia going to make any significant progress with every administration coming about, bringing their own agenda, bringing their own plan, bringing their own policies and everything that determines where the country goes? What are some of the tangibles we can point to from the PAPD that was launched under the CDC administration? Was there any reason why we needed a new plan? Could we have worked with what was already on the table? Or is it that because it was another administration, so we needed to come up with another plan that matches the agenda of this administration? Do we need to start the conversation now and around how we can have a national agenda that would drive government's policies, government's workings for maybe the next 50 years, for the next 20 years, for the next 10 years, that regardless of whichever administration comes to power, that administration has something, a national agenda that the country is focused on, but yes, but whichever way you want to pull it, we're going to make some analysis around that. But yes, the Unity Party launched the agenda today. And then on the flip side, there's a whole lot happening. The gracious wrath And I don't know how many of you noticed this, but okay, let me go back a little. Long story short, an executive order is released by the president. Executive order number 126, sorry, creating the task force, the asset recovery task force. This task force is charged with the responsibility of recovering government's assets and everything. I mean, previous administration launched similar thing. Well, this administration decided to do same. It started on a very good note. Next thing we saw, vehicles belonging to government were being seized and all of that. Long story short, it gets to the point where Gracious Right vehicles, the fleets of vehicles are being seized. Gracious Right goes to court. This case has been on for a very long time. And I don't know how many of you noticed this, but the last time I checked, the very day when Councillor Gloria Mususcat ruling came out, the case with the government of Liberia and Councillor Gloria Mususcat, when she was being released from the Monrovia Central Prison, there was prior to that day, there was already the argument on the Gracious Right, case and stuff like that. The Supreme Court was expected to have come up with a ruling on that very day. In fact, the Gracious Right case ruling should have come up before the Councillor Gloria Mususcat ruling. But then it didn't happen. The ruling was pushed. Why the ruling is pushed? Everyone is waiting for what comes up, what the ruling will be, whether the government of Liberia, the asset recovery team is going to win this case or Gracious Right. Today, instead of making progress, we saw something that appears more like going backward. Instead of getting a ruling, there was an argument today in court about where the both sides again were heard with respect to the Gracious Right case. All right. So then the question is, what happens to the previous argument that went on, at the very court? And how come we're at this point where there's another argument in the same Gracious Right case? But there was the argument today at the Supreme Court. The court reheard the case between Gracious Right and the asset recovery team, and the asset recovery and property retrieval task force. What led to the rehearing of this case is something that remains unclear, and we're still looking for answers too. But the government, the court reheard the case, and both sides made the arguments today. So the argument from Gracious Right, the petitioners, was that the task force is illegal in the first place, that the task force lacks legislative approval. The task force is a violation of Article 89 of the Constitution of Liberia, which made this the legislative oversight for autonomous commissions. So they also brought the argument about the separation of powers, wherein they think that executive order number 126 is an infringement, is a contradiction, is a violation of Article 3 of the Constitution of Liberia, which talks about the separation of power. Well, and another argument they put forth today was the duplication of functions. They think that the task force set up by the president through Executive Order number 126 undermines the legally established bodies like the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, the LACC, and the Financial Intelligence Unit. They think that those two institutions already have similar functions, and there was no reason why an asset recovery team should have been set up in the first place through an executive order. And the final argument they raised today was the violation of their rights. The seizure of the vehicles were unlawful, without court order, without prior notice, causing the serious harm to the operation of Gracious Rad as a registered business in Liberia. They think that their rights were being violated. But on the flip side, the respondent, or the government in this case, argued, or let's say Gracious Rad, argued that the executive has authority. So in the case of the executive order, it was executive authority that was being exercised, that the Constitution, the president has the constitutional power under Article 50 to issue executive order, which he did by issuing executive order number 126. And they also argued that the establishment of the task force was very, very necessary, that the task force was essential for recovering suspected stolen assets. Now, procedural errors is something that they admitted to. They say yes. The asset recovery team, so they admitted that yes, the manner, the form in which they went about seizing the vehicles, it was the process, the procedures were wrong. They admitted to that, but then they argued that the actions are justified in principle. You know, these are legal terminologies and all of that. So the Chief Justice, Siane Yo, and other justices in chambers went on to question the legality and procedural fairness of the task force. How fair was asset recovery team? What was the procedure? Did they follow the process in the first place? Why didn't the asset recovery team give a prior notice before the seizure of the vehicles belonging to Gracious Rad? So those were all questions, critical questions, that the Chief Justice and the justices in chambers were asking today. You know, so that's just a few with respect to the asset recovery team. Now, Thomas, the guy who was accused and linked to the burning of the Capitol building, who fell flat to the floor, information is that Thomas was discharged from the hospital yesterday, just a day after he fell flat to the floor and citing medical issues. Thomas was discharged. The health facility said the man okay. So the next day, the man is expected to go back to court. And what that means is that rate that came from the city court, Thomas cannot escape that rate. Thomas has been served his rate. Thomas has been cleared by the medical center, the health facility. The people say the man already he in good condition to face the law. And Thomas has gone back to face the process. We're going to bring more updates on that. Honorable Richard Kuhn of the majority bloc is expected to make an appearance or through his legal representatives before the court following the petition, 20-count petition, or let's say issue raised by the folks from the Rule of Law Caucus, citing the illegality associated with his election. And so what this means is that the folks from the Fonati bloc are not backing up. Despite joining the majority bloc and sitting in the same chambers to have session, they're still fighting this issue from the court. Is this a fight that they're going to win or not? That remains the million-dollar question. But with so many things happening across the country, I think we should move into the show, and let's get the conversation going on. I want us to start the conversation with this whole thing happening here with the gracious ride and the asset recovery team, the arguments that the both parties put forth today in the courtroom, and everything that's happening here. I mean, how did we get here in the first place? After this process, are we going to see that momentum, that energy that we saw with respect to how the asset recovery team, engaged this entire process? Is this a slap in the face of asset recovery in this country? Is the asset recovery team ever going to bounce back to be as strong as a lot of people saw it before now? I mean, let's start the conversation from here. Fambule, let's hear you.
Thank you very much, Nelson. You know, one of Liberia's problem has always been uh, misplaced priority, and there are a lot of things that Liberians don't know which one to take first. And like when we were back home in economics, they used to tell us about skill or preference. You list things according to the way you have to. But over there, everybody just doing anything. So Gracious Ra, in fact, the whole issue of asset recovery, it was a very good thing. And we were happy for that. And I can continue to say that over and over and again. It's not a bad thing to have an asset recovery, especially if it is proven or it has been proven clearly that there was misappropriation from all this report, and the government has set up a team through an executive order. That means everyone on that particular team should see this as a national challenge. Only if we can see that as a national challenge, but not on the front where you're going to hunt people, because that's the thing that people are going to say, oh, you coming after me because I'm a political opponent. No. But let's get the facts. Let's get the evidence. If you say someone stole, you should have the capacity to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that this person stole government money, and they put it in this thing, and you have right to seize it. But from what I've seen, people just I don't know to what extent they have their intelligence, to what extent they got their evidences or what, but other people just said that they only did that as a showmanship. They say, oh yeah, they instituted this on an executive order, so we want to start working. No, there is a process. Asset recovery will have to set the ground right, go after, and outline all those things that you people target. You outline them, you find way to source to get the evidence that you need, and then you follow the other procedure that will give you the backing, because you can go see some other thing. So you have to get a court order and other things. You have to give them a notice and let them know that they are of interest, and they will have to answer to the committee or whatsoever. And just do something other day. But don't just do abruptly. You go pick up somebody, pack all that thing and put it on the side and say, oh yeah, they won't hear. We know that you still dating. No, it's not like that. So I think the asset recovery will do well if they see this as a national fight and they set their priority right. That's how I see asset recovery. Thank you. I
Nelson,
get back to you, Nelson.
I think Nelson is freezing some mute or something. But I will take it from
Nelson
there.
is having issue with the internet.
Yeah,
Right.
you can take that, Sandy. Take it from there.
I will take it from here. Look, I believe, and it's very clear that the first failure of this administration is the asset recovery team. I think from the beginning they failed. The structure of the team itself is a failure. And then when the team was set up, they started going after people with emotion. They were emotionally charged. They did not go after people with clear information backed by evidence. In fact, they started arising people with prior to audits being conducted. There was no audit conducted to clearly say that, yes, this person was corrupt, these properties were stolen. In fact, we had thought that the audit would have been the first process, that it will immediately start a reverse audit process to identify all of our stolen resources that were stolen over the last 6, 7, 8 years or so, and that they can go after them with evidence, with proven evidence in their hands and say, yes, you stole this, and we are coming after you. But it was politically motivated. I mean, I hate to use that word, politically motivated, but it was. When you have not conducted any sort of audit and you start to harass people, you start to seize people properties, it has some sort of political motivation, and that was wrong. And I think that's why the asset recovery team has struggled really to perform. They have struggled to go after stolen wealth, stolen properties. Look, we can all sit here and we can tell that the last administration, and even going down to Manasali, stole massively from the Liberian people. Stole massively from the Liberian people. But you have to have some evidence to go after that. You have to have a proof to say, look, you stole this amount, you stole this thing, and we will take it back from you. Then it make it easy for you when the person should go to court to defend or to go to court and say, look, you are harassing them. With your evidence, they make it easy for you. But without such evidence, I don't care what executive order is out there. Human rights is still out there as well. You still have to respect people's rights. You still have to be able to provide proof, evidence that this person stole from the country. So all of those lady cars that were seized, Finabono vehicles that were seized, what evidence would the government provide without audits that she stole those vehicles, that she stole monies from the country to buy those vehicles? So I think the whole structure of the asset recovery team, which we were really excited about, but the structure of that team, the intent they had was pure, but their action, how they went after it, shows some political motivation, and which is wrong.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. So we campaigned for this government, and one of the reasons why we campaigned was because we anticipated that stolen assets would be recovered. And I mean, that was also top on the president's manifesto. So we campaigned, and when he won and he announced that he was going to be going after them, we were happy. But then when the team was announced, just like what Cindy said, and then like the entire framework with which they were working with, when we saw it and when we heard it, we came back on the same show, and we predicted the end result. And just what we predicted is what happened. We said that this thing is not done well. You cannot go after people before you start an investigation. We expected this government to, first of all, run an audit, do a thorough investigation, have their facts, and then you can go after people. If you don't do that, it seems like you are witch hunting people. I mean, we may not like to say it here, but from what we saw happen, I mean, like it appeared to have been a clear witch hunt. I mean, Mr. Barker has a clear intention, but then when you look at the team that he appointed, there were people on that team who were aggrieved from the past regime. Some of them said that their jobs were taken unlawfully, and they and when you understand their reasoning behind fighting back for their job, you will understand that they came back with that anger. They came to fight back. And if I mean you like that's not how you go about doing these things, because the first thing is, just by appointing those people, you have already killed the credibility of your folks. We said that here. We said this thing will not go anywhere. We were not saying it because we don't want to see it. Because matter of fact, that's what we campaigned about. That's what we were happy about. So when we saw it going down, we were sad, but we had to come on here and say the truth. And guess what we said is what happened. But guys, there are real serious things happening in the country right now. To be honest, I mean, I feel like this conversation is like, it's just taking us back. We have very limited time. I think we should we should forge ahead and talk about
Yeah,
this
quickly
serious things
before we go forward, I just wanted to
happening.
ask you: do you think that the asset recovery team, do you think they were actually really supported by the executive after they gave them the executive order? You think they had this real political backing from the president, or and they, because if you give somebody a mandate and the mandate just falls on an unfertile soil, you not expect that seed to germinate, except you have to nourish it, you have to water it, you have to do everything to support it so it can come up. But did you see that in the executive towards the
My
asset recovery team?
my brother family. So we are not shifting blame on the team, because the team was announced by the executive, right? So whatever I said just now is pointing back at the executive and the president, right? Like you said, there were no support, and support, in my own understanding, would have meant do an audit, run an investigation, and then you can have the team go after people who you have findings on. That was not done. Thank you.
So the team, look, let me come in. The team immediately after their appointment started to have internal conflict. So when you talk about support, the team was funded. I mean, they were the executive order number 126 was passed in March, and we start to hear conflict within the team around April and May. I remember it was May when Emmanuel Gonquil resigned, and what he cited a lack of expertise among his team members, right? So immediately after the formation of the team, they started to have internal conflict. And after Gonga resigned, we saw that Martin Corey also resigned. He started to criticize the entire leadership of the team. So I don't think that the executive even had the time to really support the team the way they should have. Now the team went ahead and requested, what was that, 1.9 million for them to start their work. That was not even, half of that was not provided. So to your question, I mean, I don't think they got the support, but I also do not, I mean, I also felt like the internal conflict within the team also created the problem that they had.
So I mean, definitely that means we all just said it. So that means because they did not get the support from the executive, that led to the team being in the state, right?
I don't think they were prepared at all. I don't think the team was
Good. The
prepared. I don't think
executive
the
themselves
executive
was
was
not
not,
prepared for
they were
this.
not prepared. I don't think the
Okay, so
executive was prepared.
guys, I have a little bit of technical issue here. So
We already
my
know.
my video will not be on and stuff like that. But I don't know how far you guys have gone with the conversation.
We are done with this one,
We
pretty
we
much.
just completed Glacial Rat, so we were just going to move on to maybe the neck boss suspension, or you want us to discuss the
Yeah.
arrest stuff,
So
or
yeah. So let's move to this whole national agenda, the arrest agenda, the official launch of the government's plan for the next 5 years. I mean, what does it mean for the country? Um, and we're gonna take our time to go through that document one page after another, maybe an entire show, and make some analysis around everything that's contained in that document. Because if you went back to the CDC's how do you call it, arrest, not arrest, but PAPD,
PAPD.
there were a lot of things that were mentioned in that document. And maybe we want to ask the question now, about 5 years after that document was officially launched to the public, as to what exactly are some of those those achieved. Sorry guys. Okay, so I just got, yeah. But so let's start the conversation from here. I will join in shortly. Yeah.
All right. Gerald, you can start.
Yeah, so I followed Spoon today on the discussing the arrest agenda that was launched today. And I think one of the major concerns was if the amount mentioned, and I think they were
8.25 billion, something like
yeah
that.
around 8 billion. There
Yeah,
was there were argument
8.38 billion. Yeah.
as to whether
8.38 billion.
Yeah.
8.3 something billion will be able if we'll be able to raise that money over the next 5 years. And I was amazed today when I listened to Mo Ali and some other folks saying that majority of that money, trying to defend why the government cannot by itself raise that money, and that some of that money, majority of that money will come from donors, will come from partners, will come from aid, will come, some of them will be grants and loan. And I'm sitting and I'm thinking, have we gotten to this point as a country that over 5 years, we as a nation cannot raise 8 billion? That is mind-blowing. And so let me get to the arrest. It's a beautiful piece of document. It's a beautiful goal that we want to address the issue of agriculture. We want to address so many of the places, infrastructure, that, security, all of the places we are lacking. And I believe, I think that the 8 billion is not enough. As a country, I think we can do better than that. Not depending on loans, grants, and from donors. As a nation, if we rethink, if we re-strategize how we want to manage that country or how we should manage that country, we should be able to generate more than 1.5 billion a year. And I have a reason for that. I have a reason for that. And I go back to comparing Liberia to a tiny country called Rwanda. And I know my brother Ruda you don't want me to say it, and he tired me calling Rwanda. But look, it's a shame, Ruda. If we look at Liberia, that is about triple, 3-4 times bigger in size than Rwanda. Liberia is about 111,369 square kilometer. And Rwanda is just only 26,000. Imagine that. Imagine that. Forget about the size. How many people in our country do we have to take care of? About 5 million right now. How many people Rwanda have to take care of? 13 million people in that tiny country. 13 million. Rudolph, all the 13 million have access to free healthcare through their national insurance plan. Rwanda, they don't have half of the resources we have. Rwanda's biggest resource is titanium. We have rubber, gold, diamond, iron ore, everything. But Rwanda, as a nation, generate over 1.6 billion annually with the B, annually. So that time that by 5, that's more than about more than what we are asking for, that we're going to take on loans, we're going to be depending on grants, we're going to look for a business partner or global partner, whatever we call them. And we are saying that as a country, we can only generate about 13% of that. 30% of that, 20 to 30% of that, of our goal over the next 5 years. That's a shame. That is a shame.
I think they said that at 40%.
40%, 50%, that's still a shame. Most of that money as a nation, we should be able to generate. And this is how we can do it. This is how Rwanda have done it. All their natural resources are rebranded in that country. They don't take raw material out of Rwanda to send it to China or to other parts of the world. But your iron ore are being extracted from your back door. Your timbers are being taken from your back doors to other countries. When we start to enforce the laws and making those raw materials, making products in Liberia, we will employ our people. Most of that money will stay in country. But we allow foreigners to come and steal from us. Then we go after those foreigners to beg them to come and help us generate 8.3 something billion in 5 years. Then we go take loans from those same foreigners. When we have the rubbers, the iron ore, the gold, the diamond, when we have the ocean, we do not utilize what we have. When tourism is something that we could make billions of dollars from, yet we don't prioritize that.
Unstoppable.
That's Rwanda's biggest revenue generation. Somebody please mute. That's
Nelson,
Rwanda's biggest
Nelson, you
revenue
playing something?
generation. Tourism.
No, I think we're good now.
Okay.
Tourism.
I think we're...
But we as a nation are saying...
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me? Oh, wow.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Sandy, you can take 10 or 20 seconds to land. I just wanted to make sure.
We are saying that we cannot raise 8 billion when we have triple more than a tiny Rwanda have. But you know the difference between them and us? We are corrupt. We don't love our country. We are not patriotic. We allow other people to come and steal from us. We don't prioritize our own people. We make business hard for Liberians who are willing to come and invest. We don't make the environment conducive for Liberians. We prioritize foreigners who will come and take the money from us and take it back to their country. That's our problem. We are corrupt. We could generate that money. But you know where most of that money will be going right now? Someone generator will be getting 3,000 a month. You are on mute, Nelson.
Okay, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So I want us to go back to the plan. And as I stated, Remo, welcome to the show. As I stated earlier, we're going to bring that entire plan and take an entire show and make the analysis around it. But in the first place, Cindy, do you think it's a good idea for us to have another plan within the period of 6 years? Now, we just left the PAPD. The PAPD, there are some Liberians who are still looking for what the impact of the PAPD was. How many people did the PAPD take from poverty, elevate from poverty as contained in that plan? What was the significant impact of the PAPD on the Liberian people? And now we're talking about the arrest agenda, a national agenda. Now, Cindy, do you think it was a good idea for us to leave the PAPD that was already on the table and go for the arrest agenda, a national agenda? Is this a good news for the country?
Nelson, we operate the Liberia on a political level instead of on patriotic level. And this is what I mean.
Mhm.
We always say government is continuity. In Liberia, that's not the case. In Liberia, unfortunately, that's not the case. In Liberia, Nelson, when Nelson is in power and start a project, when Sandy comes to power, he wants to have his own project in his name. So they can say Sandy completed this instead of continuing on what Nelson started. And that's why our development, that's one of the reasons why development is very slow in our country. We could have a plan similar to what the previous administration had, or maybe revise the plan that they have and build on it. We can remove what is not working for the country, and we can add what we believe is good for the country. But to just start fresh from a very beginning and not build on what has been started, to me, it's going to delay us. It is time we start to operate the country as a single unit, patriotic people, instead of just starting from fresh whenever we have new administration.
Okay. Uh, I want to hold you there, Sandy. Let's hear from you, Rudolph. I think family, you already weigh in your thoughts on this, right?
No, I did not. I just I allowed Sunny to go in first because I saw that
Okay.
he wanted to. So
So we're
quickly,
gonna come to you. Yeah, we're
you
gonna
want to
come.
come back to me?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
gonna come to you.
all right.
Let's take Rudolph on this one.
No worries.
You are muted, Rudolph. Can you unmute?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, I do agree with what Cindy is saying that we need to build off from where the last government stopped, and just for clarity issues, um, when you read the second paragraph of the president's statement, right above the right above the plan, he said the AAID builds on lessons learned and aspirations of previous development plans
Mhm.
while aligning with our long-term vision encapsulated in Liberia's Vision 2030. So what that is telling us is that, I mean, he is not starting from fresh. We looked at the like plans from since Charles Taylor time that never worked. We came down to Madame Salif. We came down to President Weah. So this is a plan that like so the past ones is clear that it has not worked for us, right? So this plan is a plan that is picking up from where those ones left. So we have realized the flaws in those old plans, and now we have learned from them to write this new plan. That is pretty much what the president is saying. I mean, if you may say, or if I may say, it's not a new plan. I mean, it he is building off the old plans.
No,
Pretty much.
send Rudolph.
Yeah.
If we say if it's not a new plan, then it must be an old plan. If it is not
So
an old plan, it is not a new plan. It could be a revised plan. It could be uh, something that has been revised, but in a way where it captures a little bit of what was in the past, a little bit of the fresh ideas, putting everything together to arrive at something new.
So Nelson, for example, if you look back at the PAPD, I don't know if that's how it's called, like the last government agenda, right? If
Mhm.
you look at it, they are also focused on trying to make sure they can trying to make sure that they can minimize poverty, right? They are focusing on poverty. They talk about education. They talk about infrastructure. When you look
Yeah.
in this, when you look in this plan, it has those same things. But then I think the only difference here is that one plan was a rushed plan, and one plan was a well thought through plan, and they
Which other plane was a rush plane? Now, I think you want to get into the politics of the
No,
whole.
but Nelson, here is it. Nelson, you see, Nelson, I came on this show today purposely for the elements of the other side. When this government won, some of them said we cannot support this government because they don't even have an agenda, right? So they say the CDC took 7 months, and we put up an agenda. This government has not put up an agenda yet. So almost 1 year, this government has birthed its own agenda now. So I was coming on here to hear what they are going to say. But Nelson, when I say rushed, CDC took 7 months, and we all know how that plan went.
No, CDC took a little over that. That was not 7 months. CDC took.
Nelson, it was like 7 months, Nelson.
That was 8 months, Nelson.
Yeah, CDC took about 8 months. It
What's
wasn't.
the big difference, Nelson?
Okay, yeah,
And then
yeah.
we all see we all saw how that plan went, right? So Nelson, looking at this plan, you see, Nelson, we should be happy. There were some people who said, "Oh, like what Sandy is saying." You know, Sandy, Rome wasn't built in a daytime. Liberia, just like most third world African country, we have suffered leadership deficit, right? So now, like we are starting new. I understand you say we are bigger than Uganda. Than Rwanda, we have more resources, but those resources have been poorly managed in the past. So now we are starting out fresh, right? So you don't. I get your frustration, but I also want you to be a bit reasonable.
We are starting afresh with every administration. That's the problem. Every time there's a new administration, we are starting afresh.
No,
we've been out of the Civil War for more than 30 years, Ruda.
The reality here is that our budget is not even up to $1 billion right now. So now our plan is being put forth that is going to to be a framework where this government is going to work with. Number one, they are going to try to increase revenue as well. So we are anticipating a budget increase. So in the next year or two, the government is anticipating having a budget of over $1 billion, right? And within the next 5 years, we are going to see that number increase on a yearly basis. And it's just clear. I ain't gonna lie to you here and say we can raise all. We are going to have to credit some of this money. But guess what? If we are going to credit and it's going to be used for the purpose of the Liberian people, I got no issues with it. Governments have taken loans and they have then spent on the wrong things. So if this one, that's my only worry here. We are hoping that if we are going to credit money from wherever, I am hoping that it's going to be used for this purpose.
You know, again, I want to go back, especially when you said the difference between this plan that was launched today and that plan. I guess you were talking about the CDC, the PAPD.
Yeah.
One was a rush, and one was a well thought plan. But let's think about it. The folks on the other side are not coming with that argument you're putting forth. They're coming from the angle wherein before they took office or immediately after they took office, they already knew what they wanted to do, and they started to work on it immediately.
Was it
and
a
in no time, they were able to bring something to the table. Now,
the plan
why on the other end, the arrest agenda is being launched after about a year? But that, for me, that argument is just another one. This plan, is there any prospect? Is it going to be different from other plans we've seen in time past?
So Nelson, here is the
what
difference.
Are the writings on the wall saying to us?
Nelson, here are the difference, right? Here are the difference. This plan, so within this plan, every county has its own development plan. This has never happened before. So we are seeing new innovation. People are thinking differently. Like the saying goes, you cannot keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So now people are thinking differently. They are saying that we cannot not just be broad and say we want to have Liberia developed. We have to understand how are we going to tackle Grand Crew County, how we're going to tackle Monserrato County, how we're going to tackle Lofa County. Because if you do those things in those small bits, then you are developing Liberia. So that's just one key difference. But Nelson, when we you said we are going to have a whole show where we go into this document. Because if you go into this document, you yourself you are going to see the difference I mean, like the. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot. I thought you already landed your thought on this. But let's get Raymond to come in. Then we're gonna take a fumble.
So I want to thank all of you that keep the show going, and also to our audience for keep being here. They're the reasons why the show keep running. And again, I apologize for the bad quality of my voice, but
You know the weather,
whenever,
right?
yeah, whenever we can, we chip in to put our own little ideas on the table so we can ship a brand new idea for the way forward of our country. And I want to commend the government for such a brilliant plan being launched today. And to speak to some of the issues, I just came on when my brother Cindy was speaking. And I want to let Rudolph know I agree with everything he said, and I want to disagree with what Cindy said. Plans need to be reviewed and revised. There's always an evaluation period for plans. And during the evaluation period, you want to know lessons learned. If they need be, you re-strategize and make adjustment. Like the saying goes, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a new result. So in planning is a continual process. You don't stick to your guns when you realize that the variables have changed or some priority needs to be changed. So for every past government, succeeding government should take what the past government did, what was a, what they able to achieve, where did they feel well the challenges, and come up with their own plans. No government is supposed to take the old government plan and do it. Nowhere around the world works. Every new administration come with their own agenda. And that's why they get elected for. That's what they sell to the people, and that's what the people buy to elect them to power. And when they come, they should implement, but they should not divulge completely the previous plan. And that's why Rudolph spoke to when he said that this plan incorporates all previous plans. So the lessons learned after a review was done of those plans are incorporated into this new plan. And the new fresh ideas are also injected into this. That makes a unique plan. But it does cover and incorporates previous plans. And that's why government is continuing with it. But when new administration comes in, they come with their new fresh ideas. They come with their own priorities. So Nelson, when we're discussing plans, we should look at it from this perspective. What are the objectives? What do you hope to achieve? What are the strategies? How are you going to achieve them? What are the identified resources? What do you need to achieve them? What do you have available? And what can you go and sort? Where can you go and find these resources? Where can you identify these resources? How can you propose to those to get it? And like Rudolph said, some of them going to be grants and loans. And that's what a plan is. When you have an idea, you have a strategy, you can work with it. It can be a tools to work with. And when you have nothing, then you just, in Liberia, we can call it hey chicken.
Okay.
So
Well,
government have put pen to papers with a strategy, with an objective, and they identify things that are needed. Now it's the obligation of the government to make it work. After you plan, you implement.
thank you.
And so no one can be too sure to say whether implementation will be an issue. But for me, it's a brilliant thing to come up with a plan. And you can criticize a plan and say because there were previous plan, we should just take the previous plan. Nowhere it works. Even in administration, at a small entity, when a new administration comes, you must review what the previous administrator did and what can you do new, what are the fresh ideas you can put in. And that's your own plan. You don't take your old administrator plan and just implement it 100%. No.
Thank you.
Make adjustments.
I want to hold you there, Raymond. Cindy, I see your hand up. You want to take a few seconds, and we'll bring family in.
Yes, I mean, so I want to say this. The plan, to have a plan is a beautiful thing. The implementation is another aspect. with the trajectory of this government, how we started, if changes are not made, I'm afraid we won't get where we want to get. My other fear, Nelson, is that we go and take loans, big loans, in the name of the plan that we have created for development. Yet, people generators are still getting paid $3,000 a month, and we might now use that money that we are taking loan on, or the loan that we are getting, to spend most of that on salaries and benefits. I think it is time that the government also fight strongly to cut down wasteful spending, so that some of that money that we can save will go into that plan. And if we start to cut down on wasteful spending, we don't need to borrow a lot. We can borrow less than what we currently anticipate to borrow. You borrowing, but you paying people generator $3,000. People are corrupt. People are stealing the money. But then you are going out there and borrowing. Fight within. Cut down wasteful spending so that if you should borrow, you borrow less than what you currently anticipate to borrow.
Thank you. Family, you want to come in? Your thoughts on this issue?
So, Nelson, this is a very, very, remarkable time in the history of Liberia, and you cannot rule out the fact that this plan, this arrest agenda, is a comprehensive. It's a comprehensive document that's going to set the basics on which this government going to function effectively and efficiently for the next 5 years. What does that mean? It means that this government has managed to review the previous administration policy, because it is also inclusive. That's why he pressed on the term inclusive. It's inclusive. So it is included in this plan. They have already reviewed that the PAPD failed miserably, but there were some things that stood out. There were a few things inside that also align with the agenda of the Unity Party of this administration. So they just looked through it and received some of the successes and some of the failure, and they improve on it in this plan. So now this arrest agenda and is also in line with the Vision 2030 goals. It has not erased yet, and the target has always, like how the previous administration has a target, this too has similar target. We're going to create jobs. We're going to create opportunity for people. We're going to take people out of poverty. We're going to improve rural connectivity, and that's alone going to improve social economic development, and you're going to create long-term developmental goals, and all the good things that can change a nation is embedded in this plan. So now, can Liberia raise this amount? From a very positive standpoint, we can raise. I'm not going to lie or going to live in fantasy and illusion and say, oh yes, Liberia has the generating capacity to raise 8-point-something billion. No. But if strategy are put in place, if the government put all mechanisms in place, they can raise substantial amount. Does Liberia have the ability to raise substantial amount of this money? Yes, the potential is there, but it is all boiled down around the strategy that they're going to use to raise this money. And then now, the government will also have to look into key things that is causing Liberia not to sustain this path. It is because we have spent a lot of our money on recurrent expenditure. Liberia buy more, import more than what we can produce and we can send out to other people. So in the end, we spend almost half of the money bringing in essential goods and services to our people than we providing it here and shipping it out and raising extra money. So it has already, this is something that weaken our economy. If we can change that part and also work on wasteful spending, cut down some of the costs, and redirect the money, and into essential things that will change the economy, I think that's going to work better. But I'm positive that this agenda going to succeed from a very positive standpoint. If all hands get on deck, if the Liberian people don't put negativity inside, it's going to work. Thank you.
And this is very important. We'll go to the phone lines. We'll take some calls, but I want us to zero in with this case of Thomas. But just to zero in with this arrest agenda, it's very important.
So you want to talk about your Omar?
We don't have the luxury of time.
Maybe he protected your government.
But come on, guys, man. But this is very important. In terms of economic growth, this arrest agenda is expected to increase the GDP by 37% from 4.75 billion to 6.5 billion by 2029. Let's come to income level. What is the arrest agenda capturing for income? There's going to be rising, let's say raising per capita. Raising per capita from $850 to $1,050. Poverty reduction. And then this is something that was captured in the PAPD, the Pro-Poor agenda. Poverty reduction is captured here. Lowering lowering the multidimensional poverty rate from 45% to 36%. Job creation, formulating thousands of jobs across key sectors. I mean, these are all beautiful things captured in the arrest agenda. And all these things are expected to be achieved by 2029. From 45%, poverty rate by 2029 should be reduced from 45% to 36%.
Nelson, please let me interrupt. Unless they show me a plan of how, listen, unless they show me a pathway of how we will achieve these things, this is just a piece of paper. It's all theoretical. When the government currently cannot hold people accountable for corruption, when this government is still watching people being paid $3,000 for their generator and wasteful spending is still a thing of the day, when asset declarations is still lacking, when the asset recovery team formulation is a failure, when our president is flying from county to county with private jet, country to country with private jet, and still doing the same old thing, when accountability is not a thing of the day, save me the time. Tell me how you will get there. Stop being theoretical. Be practical. I want this plan to, my man, your time will come. I want this plan to succeed. I'm praying that this plan will succeed. But I'm tired with somebody giving me a piece of paper without telling me how. Are you going to hold it? Wait. You're going to wait.
Let me hear you lay your thoughts.
Are you going to hold the logging company accountable now? Are you going to hold the mining companies accountable to produce those products in Liberia? Are you going to stop them from flying our resources out of the country? What new thing are you going to do that George Weah did not do that you will do? Tell me how. Stop
So,
wasting our time with just a piece of paper.
but
Thanks a lot, Cindy.
Nelson,
Mr. Bay, welcome to the show. It's good to have you on. But
let me get 10 seconds real
it's very
quick.
important to state here that
Thank you very much, Nelson. Thank you.
yeah,
And good
there
afternoon.
are different segments of this arrest agenda.
Yes,
There are
good.
different issues captured here.
Sandy, go
All
and
right.
read 182, read 190, and come down again and read 195. They are telling you how the plan will be financed. They are telling you about the how they will implement, and they are even telling you about the M&E framework, how it will be monitored, how they will be tracking progress and reporting.
Rudolph, just tell
These
him
are
that
the
that
things.
document
How?
is comprehensive. It's a
The
comprehensive
same
document. You can
government
go and
told
read
us
it.
how
If you are asking
the
for
war crime code will
practical,
be
then you have to
financed,
wait
and we are nowhere.
until if you are asking for practical, then you have to wait until we start to implement these things already. Then you can be saying,
So
okay,
wait.
then we can point and say, oh yeah, this is happening on this side. This is happening on this side. But for now, all we can tell you is go back in the document and you will see the
Thank you,
roadmap as to how we
thank you,
can
Rudolph.
achieve this.
I want to hold you there.
When you know your Christmas will be good, you can tell from the eve. This Christmas has not been good.
But Sandy,
right,
give your friend a chance to talk. You are talking your own. Let other people talk.
I'm here to speak my mind, Raymond. I'm the second Raymond
Yeah,
tonight.
but
You don't give
yeah,
people chance to, Raymond.
let there be an
Okay,
exchange
but
of
we
ideas. You keep
to make
dominating,
progress.
Sandy.
Mr. Gray, you want to weigh in your thoughts on this issue before we just before we transition, because we're just about transitioning.
Well, I mean, I did not go through the document. I listened to a portion of the president's speech, but then I was on my way to work, so I went in depth with the whole program. But Nelson, the thing there is that if I with my thought on what the president spoke about today and the arrest agenda, I'm a realist. Let me be real with you. The format that Unity Party is going, and since 1 year now, it's a bad format. The same old thing with Big George we up for. That's the same old thing the government is doing. What thing different? What really different? You talk about nothing I'm gonna give us stealing. What happened with the chief of staff? He doing the same old thing. The president is
Thank you.
I said to say nothing has happened in the country. Man, that's not what we put our government in power for real.
I want to hold you there. Thanks a lot.
Nelson, can I take my time now and just
No, you've already used your time. We
that
have
was
to
10
transition.
seconds. I was just responding to Sandy about something real quick.
Yeah, but you use your time to respond, and we have to make
Okay,
progress.
I got
But
about
this
30
is
seconds. Can I use it
this
real
is it.
quick?
This is the issue. Yes, you're gonna use your second to close, because we're about to close the show now. But this is it. The guy who was recently arrested. Now, most of you are aware that investigation is still ongoing in the Capitol building fire situation. Investigation is still ongoing. Thomas, the gentleman who was arrested, he was issued another writ after a criminal code B released him on grounds that he needed to go and get the medical, attention, blah blah blah. There was another writ from the city court which he refused to accept, and then he fell to the floor. He fainted, and he was taken by the police intervened, and he was taken to a medical facility, discharged the next day. They say he's good, he can go and face the law. Thomas is expected to appear in court. He's expected to go to court tomorrow. As we speak, Thomas is okay, and I'm just saying this to provide the clarity for a lot of stuff I've been seeing on social media. Some people alleging that Thomas is no more. He lost his life at the health facility. No, Thomas is well. He's okay. He's sound. Thomas is in police custody. He's expected to go to court tomorrow. But where this situation has reached now is that the the justice in chambers, the Supreme Court, the presiding judge, and the justice in chambers, associate justices, there at the Supreme Court, have issued a temporary stay on the decision, the previous decision from the lower court to have this gentleman released. So there is a conference. The court, the legal team of this guy, they are expected to appear for a conference on the 20th of January to discuss that decision from the previous decision from Josh Nutter, who released who ordered for the guy to be released on the medical issue and all of that. So what this means is that the investigation is still ongoing, and Thomas is still being questioned. He's in police custody, and this is part of the process to establish through legal process as to whether or not he was linked or he's that person who has a hand in the burning of the Capitol building. Now, and this is serious. At some point, based on where one sits, you get to hear different analysis on this particular issue. There are some who have the thought that this gentleman, since in fact he accused the state security of torture, he should not be going through this in the first place. That everything that's happening with Thomas right now is wrong. Why there are others who hold on to the view that whether Thomas or John Brown or Peter Buakai or whoever, once it has to do with the burning of the Capitol building, the law should be the law. I want us to take 1 minute each around the table on this particular issue, and then let's do it all in one. Let's take 1 minute 30 seconds each. Just weigh in your thoughts on this issue, your closing, and then we can wrap up for tonight. And I'm sorry for to our audience. I want to say sorry. We will not be taking calls because we're seriously out of time. But you can go ahead, Cindy. Let's start with you.
Well, Nelson, I will pick up from the last statement you said there. The law is the law, except that we have to do it legally, on the using the laws of the land. I mean, there is no one above the law. It don't have to be just the Capitol building. It's anything, right? We don't have to be selective when we are passing judgment. So we can be harsh on Thomas because it is the Capitol building, and then be not harsh on anyone else who maybe have done something else. We have a country. We must uphold the law. The brother, the last time when we came here, when he fell down, I supported the idea of him getting medical care, and he have gotten his medical care. He's released. He's healthy. Let him face justice. Let him go to court. Send the guy to court, and let him face justice. Now, go ahead, Nelson. You want to say something?
What do you make of the guy falling on the day before yesterday, right at the time he was about to be issued a writ from the city court? He falls right before the writ, and then the next day he's discharged from the hospital.
Well, is he still complaining about health? I mean, the doctor, you can fall. You can, maybe was that an anxiety attack? Was he on some sort of, pressure? So he could be okay. I don't think it was a dying situation. So now that he has been cleared by a medical doctor or a medical professional, it's good. Let him be served. If he hasn't already been served, let him be served. Go to court. You can't escape this. There is no way out of this. You have to go to court, face the justice system, answer questions, face the justice system. And if this is something that you did not do, they will release you. Okay. If you are caught in the process, well, you face the weight of the law. No one is above the law, and you should be questioned. So, I don't think this is something that we should even dwell on. He has been released by a medical professional. he should face the justice. We want to know who burned down the Capitol building. But let us go beyond this case, Nelson. The government is taking this case serious. There are other cases too that they have failed on. I will hope that as they are taking this particular case serious, which I believe they should take serious, let them also handle other cases of death, rapes, women abuse in the country, and so forth. They should take them serious as well. Let the justice system be respected again in Liberia. Let people be brought to book when they do wrongs to others or they do wrong to the country, period, including corruption.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Raymond, you want to go ahead?
So, Nelson, when I was growing up, I remember the quotation, let justice be done to all men, and there's no man above the law. And in this case of Thomas have a claim, and not every claim is a fight. Thomas had been accused for doing something very outrageous, burning of state property, the Capitol building. That's treason. So if he's accused and if he's capable of doing that, if he's not able to offer a lie about torture and the likes, possible. So it's better to look at things from all sides. Is Thomas trying to buy public sentiments to evade justice? If the allegation against him are true, very possible. Did he put up an act to pretend that he was sick just so he could not be issued? Of course, that's possible. But I like what happened. They gave him the benefit of the doubt, took him to the hospital. Now we're going to have a doctor record. If he was ever tortured, the doctor will be able to find that out. If he's lying, all that going to work against him. And he had a lawyer that's able to prove these things in the court of law, especially the doctor's report. So for me, let him go. And we've long had a country of impunity. It's the who know you. People can do some things and walk away with it. And we want justice in our country to be restored. So all those who do things against the law should be able to account in the court of law. And I think that's what is going on. So I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh no, the politics, this, that. Look, a lot of times we speak to issues in our country based purely on sentiments. We hear they say, we jump to it. We are even be able to verify those information. We don't seek the fights. We seek what we want to believe, and we support what we want to believe. We just join the argument without even having no clear evidence on or proving things beyond some reasonable doubt. So for me, in this situation, let he go and let's get to know what really happened.
Thank you.
Police, other fights they have found, they were presented in court. And his lawyers and other people will argue that.
Thanks a lot. You want to come in, Fambole, and then we take.
Well, we know that impunity is something that is common in Liberia, and it has to stop. People should be held accountable whenever something wrong is done, especially an act of setting ablaze the state house, the Capitol building. That crime should be unforgivable, and it should even be non-beatable. No one in a right mind should ever think of setting. I think, here's the thing. The Liberian government will have to use this case as a precedent and make sure they use every part of the law to make sure that nobody again will ever think to do this to the country. So this is about using the law and setting precedent. I keep it like that.
Thank you, Fambole. Mr. Gray, let's take you. Then we're gonna take Rudolph, and Anthony will take us.
Well, Nelson, for Thomas' issue, you got to look at two phases of it. Thomas said he was tortured by the NSA and Liberia National Police. The issue in a rape, he fell off. He was taken to the hospital. Well, we yet to wait for the doctor's report, whether he was internally wounded or physically or mentally, so we don't know yet. Except you tell us that maybe he was discharged. All right, we discharge you. You can go, and then we'll keep monitoring you, so we don't know what portion of it. But if he's found guilty, he should face the full weight of the law. But again, the law we're talking about here, are we rather having laws in Liberia? Do we? No. People play with the life of Liberians in our country because they don't respect the law. If you talk about the law, the same law you talk about today, the Supreme Court. That's what I said. The country, the justice system is so bad to the extent that people think that it goes when it goes in the right way or the wrong way. So today, what the issue of Funadi Kufa? If you have laws, if you're going by the laws of the country, the Supreme Court sitting right there. They know what is going on in our house. It's wrong. What are laws? All my in one man feel what that is good. The government is just joking. The government and the judicial system is just on the complete bluff. But yet I say, education puts it on the ground. But Prince Wade then put in $1.8 million in the budget for the house. You know, it's just sad for the country. It's sad. It's sad, my brother. That's what I can say about it.
Rudolph?
So, Nelson, I got a question, if I may. So, because there's corruption in the country.
Guys, can we all mute?
So, Nelson, if I may, just a few seconds, because we have corruption in the country, we can't hold people accountable for alleged burning of a Capitol building because there are $1.8 million in the budget to rebuild. You know, I think I don't understand my big brother arguments.
No, but remember, I did not say that. I said.
But you equated it too.
No. I said if he found guilty, he should face the full weight of the law. But again,
and you went further to say, but this. So your emphasis was on the things you said further.
No, I said, but what are the laws? But what are the laws? And they're reality, Roma. What are you talking about?
They're not reality, my brother. Because you feel that fanatical fire is in the right, doesn't mean that every time, everywhere in the world, people go to the courts and they argue, and both think they're right, and one person wins. There's no country in the world where you can point and say this is the law, and everybody agree about it. Everywhere in the world.
Yes. So
everywhere in the world, people argue what the law is.
Mm-hmm.
So even in America here, people go to court and both sides arguing at the right until the court say one side is right.
Thank you.
So you can't use that as a premise to say there's no law in Liberia.
Let's give him the time to land. Take 10 seconds, sir, because we have to close now. Let's move to
all right
next.
Arazi, the thing that I'm not saying there is no law. There are laws in the country, but the laws have been undermined. The judicial system is bad. So why you can't tell me that when the Supreme Court told the 48 to come back in?
I know you want us.
The Supreme Court never said that, brother.
I know you want to take
us. It's going to be a long back and forth.
Yeah,
the Supreme Court never said that.
No. You want to take us to Mr. Gray. I know you want to take us to the
Mr. Gray. The Supreme Court never said that.
What did they say?
That's a misinterpretation of what the Supreme Court said.
Majority versus minority block thing, but again, I just want us to stick on, the conversation for tonight, and I appreciate your input. We really have to.
If he's found guilty, he should face the full week. But what
Okay.
I'm saying again,
Thank you, sir.
in my conclusion is that the same law that we know that it's not doing things right. You gotta be real. Nelson.
Okay.
It's not for
Thank you.
the
I,
expansive.
I want to hold you there. Let's take Rudolph quickly. Rudolph,
Nelson, let's
just
take
do your closing.
Anthony. I will go right after Anthony, please.
Okay. Anthony, please do your closing, sir. You are muted.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
I've been very busy here since I came here, but I had a little time to chime in. Nelson, I don't know much about the individual, who is presumptive, the presumed suspect of the Capitol fire. But here's what I have to say about the Capitol fire, Nelson. That crime scene has been compromised. We saw right after the fire, people rush in that place. That place was supposed to be protected, barricaded. After the fire was put up by the firefighter, protected and barricaded. But people who are not expert in the field, who are not even firefighters, were in that place after the fire got at the place. Right? A lot of things has happened with that scene. Another information that we gather is that 2 fire chiefs from the U.S., one from Virginia, another one from Texas, offer a pro bono service who have connection with the president to go to Liberia immediately after the thing happened. And what changed? They were told that they will use the local underground. Those fire chiefs will appear on the closing argument in the coming days to give that side of the story. Nelson, let us be fair here. The police.
The
Hold on now.
fire chiefs from where? No. I want to understand.
From the
something.
United States. One from the state of Virginia, and the other one from the state of Texas. They are fire chief professionals.
To do what? To do what?
To have gone to Liberia immediately to help.
Who invited them? Who invited them?
They got connection with the president.
So, but if the president invited them, then why they not coming?
Hold on now. Nelson,
No. Anthony, let's.
But Nelson, get Anthony land.
And that's what I'm saying. If the president invited them, why they not?
President, can we come?
No.
Nelson, let me say this.
Let the man land.
No,
If it
guys,
comes to the sophistication of the investigation of fire,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They have the logistics, they have the technical know-how, they have the intellect, and they have the intelligence to do it.
But why are they not in the country, Anthony?
Okay, but listen now. I just said to you, these 2 individuals will appear on the platform to give that input on the matter, right? Because these individuals.
Okay, so why are you linking it with the Thomas situation that we're discussing now?
Hey, Thomas is being investigated for the very same fire we're talking about, isn't it?
Anthony, so these guys just asked the president, can we come? Without inviting them?
No. You said something very sensitive. That's why I just
do this to me, Nelson.
No, Anthony.
Why you always try to
Anthony? You said something very sensitive. That's why.
But it is sensitive. That's the reason why I'm very calm and speaking about it.
You. So Anthony, you can go ahead. Do your closing.
So Nelson,
guys, please don't interrupt Anthony. Please give Anthony the floor.
Listen to this, right? The police were in charge of this building. Mm-hmm. The next day after the fire, people rushed into that place that had no business being there. They compromised the crime scene. The third thing I'm going to speak about here, the police cannot lead the investigation of this fire when they themselves were in charge of this building before the building got on fire. The fire chief of Liberia, the NSA, and other should be in charge of this. The police also should be investigated. What happened? What were you doing? How can then the police IG be the face of the investigation of this fire when they themselves were in charge of this very building that got on fire, my people? How can we investigate ourselves when we were in charge of this building? I'm saying that the whole investigation process here now, it is compromised. The crime scenes were not protected. We heard from the president, who made a claim that it was arson. We don't know.
Nelson, are we on the same talk show, or Anthony have his own agenda he came with?
Okay, so
Because he's not speaking to the things you're talking about.
What do you mean by not speaking to the thing?
Anthony, just having your own talking points, man.
No,
You're not on the same
the man
show.
who has been arrested, the man who was arrested and had a medical issue was linked to this fire. We are speaking of the fire. I don't know much about the man. I don't know the man personally. I don't know his health condition. I'm not a health practitioner.
Then you could spare us the time.
So what do you mean I can
Yeah, but you just renting on things that are unrelated. They ask you a question.
No, guys, we need to protect Anthony. Anthony, I'm gonna give you 15
because we don't agree on things. I have a different.
So guys, let's do this.
Why
Anthony,
we talk about opinion?
Anthony, we are seriously out of time. I'm gonna give you 15 seconds to land. But
so
I hope we are all following the process.
My opinion, and if you have any reservation, reserve your reservation until you are given the time to debunk what I have to say. But my opinion are my opinion.
And you are protected, and that's why no one is interrupting you now. No, guys, please don't interrupt Anthony.
Another different thing.
Go ahead, Anthony. Anthony, just go ahead and lay your thoughts.
So my closing here on this particular issue here is that the whole proceeding have been compromised. From the president's statement to the police leading the investigation when they themselves were in charge of this building has been compromised, and even the crime scene was never protected. And I stand by that. The last thing I will say, we talk about rule of law, quote unquote rule of law. The boss of them was suspended by the president by constitution. He does not have that power.
We didn't talk about that, Nelson.
I'm just talking about rule of law again. Under the
Nelson, I think I gotta leave, man, because I don't think we're having a show here. We're just having free talk.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, man. I think we came on a show to be coordinated. When we're uncoordinated, there's not a show.
Yeah. So Raymond, let's have Anthony. I've already landed. 30 seconds.
But Nelson, I'm protesting to say that we don't come and just talk unrelated to issues. Then we're not having a coordinated show.
You know,
anybody can just come and use their time and say anything they want to say, and that's not the format of the show.
This is not a UP platform. Unless you want to make it a UP platform, then we can get
when you're bridging from the format of the show,
but guys,
then when you ask some questions too, we can just say what's on our mind.
Yeah, but guys,
if every time is what our mind session, then let's know the format.
Guys,
is your platform now become a UP platform?
Anthony, I will not answer that question. Anthony.
All right.
Because you know you're not you're on the platform, but then you're asking me if it's a UP platform.
Because 90% of the people here are UPs or support or simply task or where they all support this government.
No, that's 90%. Not the case. That's not the case. But you are on the platform.
No, that's a blatant lie, Anthony.
I'm coming.
That's a blatant lie.
No.
Anthony support the government.
Anthony,
support the government. What's it mean?
Anthony, let's do this. You are on this show. You're not a UP supporter. Vasco is on this show.
He's not here tonight.
On this show. All right. You have
how many supporters?
Cindy is an ANC guy.
No, Cindy is a supporter of this government.
And the rest of the guys.
And then you get a supporter of the government. No, let's do the survey now.
No, we're not doing survey. We're not doing survey.
We're going to say thanks to everyone for joining us. It's been a great supporter of the government. Raymond is a supporter of the government.
No, but Nelson, I have not yet closed.
But Anthony,
no, I told him to close before me. So
okay. Then do your closing because
so guys, you know, we are, most time people come on this show and we allow petty politics to cloud our reasoning and we just talk.
Just make a point.
How?
Just make your point. No, Anthony, don't, please don't interrupt.
It's my turn now. You put me in the back.
Please don't interrupt.
So Nelson.
The reason why it has to be the last?
Oh my God. Nelson, you see?
No, go ahead.
So why would somebody come and tell us that the police should not investigate this because he feels within himself that they themselves were implicated. I mean, like, so who then do you expect to investigate these kind of issues? I mean, like, I don't know. It really. I mean, it is disturbing. Like, we use politics. We just take this whole thing about politics and just come and say things off our head. And I mean, it's kind of crazy, Nelson. But
It's beyond rationality.
I will close like this.
Please,
I will close like this. I will close like
So
this.
you allowed them to throw
Hey,
words,
wait
but it's
now.
okay.
Anthony, wait. I will close like this, Nelson. So this was a very good show. I mean, we talked about the president the country new plan pretty much, and we are all happy about that. You know, I was waiting for the
Where's the document?
Oh God. Nothing. We can't be doing this. Put a man in the back.
Anthony, if you put me in the bag, I'm not coming back on the show yet.
Yeah, but Anthony, if you don't want to go,
you can't keep using that. You can't keep using that to disturb the show.
No, let's do this, guys.
You can't keep using that to disturb the show.
Anthony, let's do this.
Hold on.
Anthony, let's do this. We have rules on this show, Anthony. We have rules.
They don't follow no rules on the show.
No, guys.
What kind of
So,
rule we're making
Anthony,
follow?
if you don't want to go in the back, please don't interrupt Rudolph. Let's give Rudolph the time to lend his thought. Please. We have rules on the show. Rudolph has the time. Let's have Rudolph to lend. Please.
If Raymond talk, I will talk.
Guys. Anyone who interrupts the show moving forward will go in the back. Please. Please go ahead.
You see, this is exactly what we get when people bring their feelings and not come to the show with facts, with logic. They just come because they feel a certain type of way, so they want to say what they think they feel. But Nelson, this was a good show. I mean, I do believe that we touched on the important topics today. We talked about the plan of this government, which I think we all should celebrate because this is a well-detailed and well-thought-through plan. And we believe that it's going to be implemented and lives are going to be changed from this plan. I think that should be that should be the standout of this show. We should all go home happy that we have a government who is bringing forth a plan and telling us step to step how they are going to achieve it, unlike the other plans that we have had in the past. Because when this government took over, like I said, some of these elements on this show
15 seconds.
told us that we cannot support this government because there is no agenda. Now we have an agenda. Now we have a plan. What say you? Nelson, thank you. I'll start here.
Thanks a lot. And I want to say thanks to everyone. Family Day are closing, right?
I did not.
Okay.
So quickly. No, I did not close.
No, Rudolph,
You close.
Rudolph, Sandy was the first. I was the second.
I did not close.
And no.
So thank you very much, my Liberian people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prince. Thank you. But we want to re-emphasize that Liberia is our common denominator, that, as we have always said, and let us keep bringing positivity to the discourse. Let's keep preaching nationalism. Let's keep pushing for progress for Liberia. It is, I don't know how to describe it, but if anyone who will sit in the right mind and keep saying that they wants the government to fail or the government is incompetent, there's nothing going to come out of the government, and that person should re-examine themselves and calibrate and process themselves. But the arrest agenda is on the right path. I know that success of this agenda depends on the efficient management. It depends on accountability. It also depends on the active involvement of the citizens. So I see the Liberian people should embrace the agenda, and let's make sure that we all can come and beat on the government, put the government feet to the fire, and make sure that this agenda affect the Liberian people and change the life of our people. Thank you very much, Nelson. Good show.
Joining us, I want to say thanks to all of our folks here for joining us tonight. in the comment section.
The president not caught, but the man say, okay, we walk out. You
Look
sure?
forward to having a great show tomorrow. I'm sorry to our audience. I see a lot of you are trying to call, but we can't take your calls tonight because
Can't
of
laugh
time.
at all yeah, with your
Let's
fake
hope we can do
information.
that tomorrow. Until then, have a good night, everyone, and bye bye.